Hey honey, wish day. Daya wachianke. My name is Michelle from Thor Once Another Letter, and today we're going to be talking about all of the books I read in the summer. Summer was a challenging season, but I am here, so let's talk about it. Out of all of the books that I read this summer between May and August, I have 4 favorites out of all of the 18 I read, but I did enjoy a majority of these. I started May off with Speak, a raw and all well too known story of Melinda, a middle schooler who is facing social outcasts after something happened at a summer party. During this time, she retreats into herself and finds rare solace in her art class. This story takes you into Melinda's mindset, the pressures of her parents, and the way she begins to reclaim herself. I read this in 2019, but I wanted to read it again because I saw it on Paramount Plus, and this just made me feel more sad and depressed than the first time I read it. However, there is something in Melinda's character and her wit that just makes you want to root for her this entire time. I'm not surprised that this sits at, I think, number 25 on the ALA's 100 banned books list, but I think that this is something that everyone should read at least once in their life. However, if you are a victim of SA and or this subject matter is very sensitive to you, I don't recommend this for you, but I do think that a lot of people should read this. It's short, it's only 200 and something pages, and I read it on audiobook and I recommend this. After that, I needed a palette cleanser, so I brought some picture books home. I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember very much about some of these books, but I loved looking at the artwork. Aloha Everything by Kaylin Milia George, illustrated by May Waite. I mean, look at all those colors, the way that you feel so close to the ocean. My Thoughts Have Wings by Maggie Smith, illustrated by Leanne Hatch. Just Like Grandma by Kim Rogers, illustrated by Julie Flett. I will be talking more about this book in another video, but I loved it for the imagery of family. Quiet as Mud by Jane Yolen, illustrated by Nicole Wong. I also read some graphic novels like Click by Kayla Miller and Allergic by Megan Wagner Lloyd. Both of these were about wanting to find friendship, and both send a good message. Lastly, in May, I read Homebody by Theo Parrish. As a non-binary person, I really resonated with this. There were parts of this book, like body dysmorphia and dead naming, that I really appreciated. Even though I do still struggle seeing dysmorphia especially, I value the way Theo takes us through their life and the ways that identity is not a linear experience. June was a very difficult month for me. At the beginning of the month, I lost a friend to his battle with cancer, and reading was really hard going. I mostly used audiobooks from up to this point, and I managed to finish Plot Twist by Erin LaRosa. Plot Twist came recommended by Carmen from Tomes and Textiles, and since it was on my 24 in 2024 book list, I jumped in it when I saw the audiobook available, and I also followed along with the physical book. Thanks to Harley for gifting this for my birthday. This book follows Sophie, who has major writer's block, and her deadline is fast approaching. Q Dash, who is a movie star and her best friend's brother, who offers help with her social media so she can get back to her exes. Sort of, but mostly for clarity. Dash is a former child star, having only done a few movies and indies, but his mother is pressuring him to write a speech for his father, a patriarch of cinema, and the pressure is building, so much so that his sobriety is in question. Chatting with his sponsor and internet pal might not be helping. I really enjoyed this story for Sophie with her budding TikTok career, and Dash with his crafting and pottery, and Dash is such a cinnamon roll despite his bad boy heartthrob attitude. I rooted for Dash and Sophie. They had so much banter. This is definitely one to check out, and it is also like 300 something pages, unlike some of the behemoths I've been seeing lately. Another book that I had that had a similar formula of going back to exes, but this is X's and O's by Amy Lee. I also listened to this via audiobook from the library and read the physical. Shout out to Calvin for buying this for me. Instead of an actor and writer, we get a bookstagrammer and a firefighter in Tara and Trevor. They were roommates. Except for day 1, she walks in on him doing the do with another girl. He is the no commitment guy, so she enlists him into helping her figure out what's going on with her exes. Of course, it has its challenges. Trevor has his walls up like Empire State Building tall, and it makes so much sense as to why he rushes into burning buildings rather than rushing into relationships. And Tara's the opposite, with her heart on her sleeve, and they spend more and more time together, and they kind of get a glimpse into what each other is like. I really enjoyed them. I really enjoyed this romance, but also I had a little bit of difference when it came to Tara. I mean, okay, so she's a bookstagrammer, but she rereads the books that she read that are romances. She doesn't get new ones, which kind of doesn't really make sense for me, but okay. I get, you comfort read, you got a comfort read, you're gonna read it over again. It's fine. Ultimately, I feel like Plot Twist did a better job at the second chance romance attempt. However, I really did like Trevor and Tara. Next, we have a very deep and touching story in The Berry Pickers, taking place in 1960s Maine. A young girl goes missing and a family is devastated. 50 years later, the family is reunited. However, the damage has been done, and you see this fractured family and the ways Ruthie's disappearance shaped them forever. I read this for Naomi's book club as well as our own local library book club, and I had a really hard time reading this. I gave it a 3-star overall, but just because it was too hard for me to read. It also talks about miscarriage and loss of a child and the ways that people struggle and grapple with grief. And if I had the spoons, ideally it would be a 5-star read. And at the time of reading this, it was just too hard and visceral for me. And I do not recommend this for people who have gone through miscarriage or death of a child. But I definitely recommend this for people who love this kind of a story, who love like a mystery, but also like a family story. It was just not for me. The last book I read in June was The Reappearance of Rachel Price by Holly Jackson, and wow. This was about Belle Price, or at least it should be, in theory. Belle is dealing with the filming of a documentary for her mother's disappearance, and of course they have to rehash everything that happened 16 years ago. Except mid-filming, she comes back. Where did she go? What happened? All of the questions are way too cookie-cutter perfect for Belle to believe, so she embarks on her own investigation to figure out what led up to her mother's reappearance and what happened in the end. It was giving Lifetime. It was giving, that one with that one girl from Ginny in Georgia where she's in like all of the scary like bad man does a bad thing movies. Right. So, like, I feel like she could have been Belle in this situation, or she could have been Rachel in this situation, because I ate it up. I read this in 2 days and then didn't read anything for a month. Belle was a cool character. If this came out in the aughts, I would have 100% recommended, like, Mae Whitman for Belle's character, because wow. That attitude, I honestly can't tell you any kind of big literary thoughts. I just remember reading this and sending voice messages to Alexis from Little Lion's Library, and the way she just reaffirmed everything that I was thinking. I was so confused by the end, by what was happening. And this is like, I put this book cover on wrong, but this was like 400-ish pages, and you know as well as I do that I don't read 400 anything, but this was a big chunky, this is a big one, but it was good. Of course, mid-July happened, and I was going through some shit again. My uncle passed away from an injury that he had, and it was really sad and tragic, and then everything just got so much worse. My father was being a CUNT. We are no contact, so I didn't talk to him at all, but it made going to the funeral unfortunately a circumstance that we just could not do, both medically and mentally. I was really sad about it because I loved my uncle so much. That's why you haven't seen me around, but overall it's been a hard time. I saw this in my queue on Everand, and this seemed like a good time, and I also had the book physically. I got this for my birthday or Mother's Day, I think. But this was on my 24 books in 2024 list, and I was like, hell yeah. It was a favorite from Alex as well, so I just decided, fuck it, let's pick it up. and I loved it. It was so good. I wanted to drop kick you know who, and if you know, you know. I regret nothing. Imogen obviously follows Imogen, who's an ally, obviously. She goes to her best friend Lily's college for a visit that she hasn't been there in quite a while, and also she's considering this college to go to for university. The only problem is that Lily kind of told everybody that her and Imogen used to date. And she's struck up a quick friendship with the friend, so, like, it's not that big of a deal, right? Or at least, it shouldn't be a big deal. I mean, she's an ally. Or at least she thinks she is. Because she soon catches the eye of Tessa, one of Lily's friends, and as they spend more time together, she wonders, like, is she really straight as she thinks she is? Or is a straight girl pretending to be bi? Whoo, theys and gays. I really wanted to just absolutely drop kick one of the characters. And we all know that internet discourse can range from, like, nuance and actually talking things out and good conversation to absolute fucking brain rot. And when I brought this character up to Alex, he was like, oh yeah, Gretchen is what internet discourse would be if it were a person. And that's so freaking true, because the whole time I was rooting for Imogen, because the thing is identity is not a linear experience. It's not like, oh, you are born and you know exactly what you are. Sometimes you find out who you are later in life. Sometimes you find out younger in life. But it definitely does not help when someone close to you is spouting that internet bullshit in your ear and constantly makes you feel like you're taking up space, or that you're intruding on something that's not yours because you're straight. You're just, you know, the token straight. I really loved it because Imogen got to figure out who she is, and she got to, like, be friends with people, and she just got to be, like, this social butterfly. And then you see other characters that are, like, impeding on that. I also really loved the character of her sister Edith, who is super supportive, super loving, the banter, and Tessa, and I loved it. If you want something cute and queer and maybe with, like, some light academia vibes, read this. You need it. You need it. Add it to your TBR right now. Go buy it. Go buy it. So July ended swiftly with A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. And if you're on top of book talk, you know what I'm talking about. A girl murdered 5 years ago in a town that was left fractured. Cute Pip, who wants to do this school project following this murder and figuring out what happened. It soon becomes more than that, though, when she enlists the help of Ravi Singh, the supposed murderer's brother. The two begin to start piecing together what really happened, and it got a little dangerous. I really love the way that it pieces things together, like texts, emails, phone calls, interviews. I loved it. It all just makes you feel like you're in the investigation, and you want them to figure out what happened, but you also don't want anything bad to happen to Pippa, because she starts getting threatening notes, and it starts to get, like I said, it starts to get a little dangerous. And so I also watched the TV show, so you should check that out. The link is going to be down below for that. It was it was a time. Ooh, my bookmark. In August, I delved into another YA mystery with Looking for Smoke by K.A. Cobell. And thank you so much to Epic Reads for getting this into my hands, and to K.A. Cobell herself, and to Cynthia Leidig Smith for, like, always believing in me and helping me read wonderful stories like this. Looking for Smoke follows 4 teens. We have Eli, we have Mara, Brody, Lauren, and unfortunately, a girl is found murdered during a powwow. I don't even know what I would do if that happened at one of my a powwow that I've been to. I wouldn't even know what to do. So this follows the 4 of them, and one of them could be the murderer. This does handle really sensitive subjects like murder and gore, and it also discusses missing murdered Indigenous women, which is a very prevalent topic in the Indigenous and First Nations community, and this is something that everybody should know about. So this covers things very well, and the overall grief and the feeling, and K.A. Cobell's writing is absolutely beautiful. The way she transcends into, you're reading moments of happiness, you're reading moments of grief, you're reading moments of all guns blazing. And I loved this book so much. This is one of my favorites of 2024. This is probably a favorite of like all time. And I love the depictions of indigeneity, the beauty of it, the dancing, the customs, the language, the culture, just oyate, like the people. And if you haven't read it yet, you really need to. And this is going to be on recommendations list for years to come. Okay, so next I finished up 2 books that I started a really long time ago. I have my notes over here, so if you see me looking over there a lot, that's what I'm looking at. Thank you to Penguin Teen, by the way. We have Chronically Dolores by Maya Van Wegenen, and then Cancelled by Farrah Penn. Cancelled had its bratty moments. I really enjoyed Chronically Dolores because this also talks about interstitial cystitis. It's not a life-threatening disease. It's just a painful disease that she feels is ruining her life. And it really puts you in the living room of this family dealing with money, dealing with finances, dealing with businesses, dealing with every little thing like every single day, but all in one very cramped apartment. And you really feel like the tension. And then you have Dolores' character, who is just trying to like figure shit out and just trying to live while also dealing with this horrible thing and dealing with like what happened before summer and friendships disappearing, trying to make new friendships. And I highly recommend this. I also recommend this for people that are going through like a very transitional period in their life, like for middle school to high school. I really feel like this was like that you would enjoy this. Also has autism rep because Dolores runs into this girl named Terpsichore, and I really enjoyed that because like Terp is she's so like on the nose of things, and it takes her hyper focuses, so you get to know those as well, and like the ways that these people understand each other without like having to put too much effort into it, because friendship is hard, friendship is difficult, especially when you're 8th grade, 9th grade, and you're trying to like do the things. Last but not least, I read Olivetti by Ali Millington. Thank you to Fievel and Friends for sending this to me. At first I was like, cool, a story about a typewriter, but then it is so much deeper than that. Olivetti is a story about family, tragedy, and the fear of losing out. Olivetti is a typewriter, one of the best, until he sold for $126 by Beatrice. Where did she go? What happened? Why did she leave her family? And Ezra, her son, is trying to figure that out. He hasn't been speaking very much ever since everything that happened last year, and his mother is at her wit's end, getting everything ready, like the groceries, until one morning, she vanishes into thin air. And everyone is trying to figure out what happened, and with Ezra, with the help of Olivetti, the typewriter, the shopkeeper's daughter Quinn, they are piecing together like what happened to his mom and why she left. And I honestly cried like 3 or 4 times. The audiobook, you will need this. It gave it so much life. You got to hear Olivetti's voice, and he has a British accent. So like, and it's one of those like more posh ones. So like it's perfect. It was perfect for like a poshy typewriter. So Millington is able to weave this so well. You would think this was an adult story if it wasn't like, if it didn't have Ezra in it, and Ezra wasn't like 12 years old. In a way, this kind of hit close to home, but I really loved it. I don't even know, I don't have words. Like, the way that I feel about this book, it was so good. I read it in like 2 days. Honestly, I wish this had been on the SCTCA list. Those are all the books I read this summer. I hope that you have a few to add to your growing TBR. Feel free to like, subscribe, comment down below. It really helps my channel. I am trying to reach my watch time, and also I want to hit 2K at some point in my life. I think that would be really fun. If you want to become a patron, my links are also down below. If you watch all of this, comment like a sunshine emoji down below, or let me know what books you read this summer. All I really want is the engagement. I know that I've been absent from this channel for a while, but I promise you I have things in store, and I have so many plans to keep this going. As always, don't forget to hydrate yourself, take care of yourself, make sure you're nourishing yourself. It is starting to get colder up here, so make sure you go out and you buy your winter coat and get all your winter shit before the little white stuff starts coming down. I know you're like, bitch, it's September. Like, that's not happening. You never know. You never know. Put a blanket in your car, okay? You never know. Put that stuff in your car before you need it. You don't want to ever have to need it and not have it, okay? I'm looking at you. Make sure you know, go outside a little bit. You know, even if you can't, have somebody bring you a plant, okay? Have a plant, get some oxygen going in your house or whatever, and enjoy the falling leaves and your little, what are those thingies? The pumpkins? The pumpkin drinks, right? Get you a little pumpkin drink, you know. Put like a scarf on, you know. Feel like important, whatever. That's your business. Anyways, hope you're having a great day, and I will see you.
I can drive very well.
I'm trying to get a bunch of bitches to kneel.
Jonathan? I don't like it. I don't like it.
Cut the check. Cut the check.
Get that bitch off the monitor.
Where's my husband?
Baby spider, baby. Squirrels are scary, man.
Who's your kid now, Thor? Best of friends.